Well, greetings, gamers, and welcome to the 190th live stream for the MisfitGamersStudios. I'm your host, Vortex, and this is D&D Discussions. On today's episode, we have something quite interesting. We have a playable Harpy race coming from Desmar Sama. I'm very interested because I don't know if we've had more than... I think we've had one other submission that took a non-playable and made it playable. So I'm fascinated with this. I think this is a great idea. I think that I would like to see more of these. So knowing what I do know about how difficult Harpy fights are, I'm really curious to see how that could translate to benefiting the party. So yeah, join us and we will see what Des has in store for us with this new Harpy. What are you thinking about this? Like, what are your ideas?
I am very curious. There are a lot of things that come to my mind when I think of Harpies and some of the abilities that they have, some of the things that they can do, and like how powerful they can potentially be, and like seeing how that's translated into a playable race and balanced from level 1 all the way out. I am very curious how that is going down. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see how Desmar decided to go down that road. But I'm really hoping that like we'll get to see things like some sort of like Harpy song or cry or whatever.
So I was literally just thinking about that because my mind's whirling on, depending upon how this works, this could very easily be a match made in heaven or a basically like pigeonhole for a bard. As in, like, this might be almost too obvious that no one else can benefit.
Right.
Or it will just be the icing on the cake to be a Harpy bard, especially if you have any sort of vocal manipulation as you normally would.
Right.
So I'm super interested to see about that, because the Harpy abilities alone are very difficult. And what I wouldn't mind seeing is, instead of a 1-to-1 where you get something like the Harpy song and it lures people or whatnot, I wouldn't even mind. Oh my gosh.
Apologies.
I wouldn't even mind if it translates into just having, say, a bonus to charisma checks, like a super high charisma where you get persuasion.
Right.
You know, the idea that just instead of a Harpy song where you lure people in, your voice essentially makes people friendly.
Okay.
So that's the interpretation I wouldn't mind seeing, is you are just naturally charismatic, similar to the Harpy song.
Right.
But I also wouldn't mind having a little bit of those like Harpy abilities. Now, you also got to think too, Harpies are also known for having really, I think, poisonous or toxic talents, right?
Are they?
Is it that, or is it their bite? But I thought one of them has I thought one of them had an issue. Like, I'm
looking at the standard 5th edition.
And again, I may be having issues between editions. I may be misremembering.
That's also very fair. They have a claw attack, they have a club attack, and they have their song, but neither of the other attacks seem like they have any additional features other than their standard amount of damage.
I think the original lore was just that their talons were usually filthy because they are dirty creatures. I think in their lore they're just naturally filthy. So I think that was the idea, is you don't want to get hit, because even if you escape, you'll usually get
some
infected.
Disease or something like that.
So I don't think that it was ever maybe a mechanic. I think that was just part of the storyline. So yeah, so I'm really curious to see how that's going to happen. Obviously, we're expecting some flight. I would expect flight, bare minimum.
I would imagine so, yep.
So yeah.
I'm curious if they're going to make it limited flight, because a lot of people have been very, we'll say, resistant to PCs having flight out the jump. You know?
I mean, I'm just hoping that we don't have another copy-paste Aarakocra.
Very much so.
As long as that's not just another Aarakocra.
Weirdly enough, the other bird race that we have, the Kenku, I don't think they theoretically have flight, the ability to fly, even though they are bird creatures with, I'm pretty confident, wings.
Really? Like, they would obviously have a glide, but not a flight.
I don't think they even, according to the rules, have that at all.
Interesting.
Yeah, expert, duplication, mimicry, recall. Yeah, nothing in here talks anything about having the ability to fly or a fly speed. Their speed's just 30 feet, just like everybody else.
So other than like what, dragons and tieflings that can get wings, that's pretty much Aarakocras are the only other ones?
Theoretically, Dragonborn and Tieflings don't innately have that. I think there's
there's supplementals that can get
there's like
them.
ancestries and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you can get.
I'm trying to think of like what other base like build gives, because you, like you said, it's very anti-flight early on.
What do you call it? The race that's to do with angels. They have the ability to get
Celestials.
Wings.
Yeah.
Not Celestials. The what are they called? They're like angel kin or something like that. Asimars.
Oh yeah,
yes.
the Asimars. Gotcha.
They have
can
like
earn wings.
They like
eventually.
either like skeletal wings, angelic wings, or one other type of wings, and it gives them limited flight for a certain period of time, for a certain amount of time a day.
I think too many people are just too afraid of flight because, again, I think combat is too linear sometimes, and I think it's too straightforward to where when you add flight, people think, oh my god, we're suddenly playing 4D chess, and it's like, no, you're not. 30 feet goes in all directions.
Sure.
Like, I'm just, it's that kind of annoyance with me where it's like, if you have a 30-foot range, it's not 30-foot horizontal. Fireball works in the air too. Like, fireball is also, you don't have to target solid, unless it says you need a, like, dimension door needs a solid surface.
Sure.
And it says so. But again, I feel like too many people get afraid of, oh, you're flying. Oh my gosh. It's like, well, yeah, it sucks for the melee characters, but you know what? Every melee weapon can be a ranged weapon if you try hard enough.
Sure.
And guess what? Unless the flying character is also ranged or a magic user, they also have to come down eventually. You know what I mean? And there are ways to get around the worry of a flying character. I feel like it's a taboo for no other reason than laziness.
It's hard. I would agree, because I think a lot of the times the struggle that people have is just the fact that it's harder for them to remember, oh, these people have this thing and I have to take into account like all of these elements that they have. But I mean, the reality of the situation is players have to do that. Now, granted, players only have to worry about what these other people are doing, and they don't have to worry about everything else. And the DM is literally worried about absolutely everything. But I really think that when a DM comes up against players that have flight, like there's so many things that you can do to make these combats like viable and make sense, that you don't need to ban it. Like, you really don't. Like, I'm of the opinion everything is viable in my games. Like, go for it. If you want to do something weird and crazy, I've got a thing that's gonna still make the experience challenging and enjoyable for you.
That brings up a good point, because and being on TikTok, for a year now, and being in the TTRPG space, it's funny that you bring that up, because there is something to be said about the eras of D&D and TTRPGs in general, specifically with respect to the GM and DM's roles. Because, again, thinking back on things I've said and my history and my approach to D&D and TTRPGs, which is being very open to questions, being very open to bringing on new people, being very open to making sure that my narrative is understood.
Sure.
And I take a lot of that on, because that's just kind of what being the DM is, in my opinion. Like, there's a lot of responsibility that goes on with it. Now, I'm not saying that's required responsibility, but it's responsibility that I do think is intrinsic to the role, and therefore you should be willing to accept to a certain extent. But the newer era of D&D and TTRPGs is much less this role of offloading a lot on the DM, right? Over the generations. And we've seen this throughout the history of episodes that we've done. There's been a lot of offloading. More and more has been offloaded onto the players. Materials are easy to get for everybody, right? It's not just the DM who has to own all the books.
Right.
And the game itself leans into encouraging and empowering players with knowledge. But that also has come with one of my biggest, hot takes, is that also has bred an overabundance of player entitlement. Because therefore, if they know about it, they get mad if it doesn't work out the exact way they planned it.
If I know what this monster is supposed to do and you do a thing that I know it's not allowed to do, then how dare you say that monster can do that?
Exactly. And this is where, my biggest fight of, just why are you so adamant about that when you're not worried about the story that I'm trying to craft for you? And that's kind of along the lines of one of the shorts that I did today on TikTok, which basically was one of my hot takes. And I said that if you support things like Daggerheart and Draw Steel, but then argue with your DM when they try to homebrew, what did I say? You're basically
Hypocrite.
I was like, because like, where do you think those games came from? Someone playing and said, I want to do something different, right? And that's what irritates me is like, you know, you have these players who are so entitled because, well, I read the book and therefore I know about it. So these books come out and like, that's why you're hyped about it. You're hyped because they are a new set of entitlement for you, but you're not as concerned about the story that you're playing. You're only worried about whether or not you know the rules and you like the rules. And that's my issue with that current state of gameplay. I don't mind if you all want, like, again, that's the reason why Adventure Keep, or not Adventure Keep, that's a TikTok account. No, Adventure League. That's why Adventure League started. And there is a place for that. But Adventure League is it. And I don't just mean you only have to play that
but
TTRPG.
Do things like that. Like,
but it's kind of like when we talk about, do you like one-shots or West Marches campaigns, right? That's two different types of TTRPGs, right? Miniseries, one-shots versus West Marches are all different types of TTRPG styles of gameplay.
Right.
And that's, you know, I feel like the modern mindset of D&D is most people assume that there's that standard way of playing, but it's like, no, I think a lot of people imagine that the standard way is Adventure League. And it's like, no, it's really not. I mean, modules are great, but you have to remember, at least, again, coming from a different era, traditionally modules were the tutorial.
Right.
Like people, like, this is what bothers me is modules have become the game. But people don't realize when a DM bought the book and a module, that was teaching them how to run a game, and it taught y'all in, you know, with a preset how to play. And then the point was for you to go beyond that. Why do you think we have our motto beyond the book? The whole point originally was, this is your test run. Once you get it down, do the rest yourself. And so again, I think there's something to be said of an era
similar to how people play Uno. There are so many custom rules that you can have in Uno that are fairly widely recognized, but they are custom rules. Like, if you buy the game Uno and open up the instructions and read how you're supposed to play, unless they've added edits to include some of these custom legacy rules, it's just going to say the very basics.
Yeah.
And so people who play with these other rules, like, you can get mad, you can get pissed off, and you can be like, oh, that's not what the rules say. That's not what the rule. I'm like, I know it's not what the rule books say, but that's how we're playing at this table.
But that's
right
how
here.
we're playing, right?
You know what I mean? Like, that's the whole freaking point. Like, any card game you've ever played, like, imagine, like, one of my favorite games, Hearts, is lightweight, a reskinned version of Spades, but a single player version. And they made it more applicable for people to play without partners, so that you can just play as a solo person.
Actually, that's a good way. I've always struggled to explain the difference between the games, and I like that simplicity. Is Hearts is just Spades without teams.
Basically,
that's actually a good way to. I mean, there's other
differences, like it's golf, lower score.
But overall, that's a good way of describing it. Is the goal is essentially the same, and you have similar ideal. You know, it's not like, you know, like Gin Rummy is a completely different game, similar concept, but different game. I would say, yeah, Hearts and Spades, it's the difference of a team or not. I like that. Okay.
And so, like, I think that is a valid way for all players to approach the game that they're playing. It's like, recognize that whenever you sit down at somebody's table, yeah, you're playing cards, but are you playing Hearts? Are you playing Spades? Are you playing Gin Rummy? Are you playing Bid Whiz? Whatever, you know?
Yeah. So, yeah, I just, it's really interesting that, yeah, I'm finding people are over the and just different eras of gaming and different types of gamers over those eras, because the game has changed. But I feel like it's moving further and further away. Not from the collaboration that it used to be, but
I can't chat due to it being on verified only chat.
Oh. Hang on. It's what now?
Root verified only chat. I don't know what that means. I mean, you got to be verified. You're subscribed.
Verified only chat. I hit something by mistake. Hang on. What does that mean?
I was curious. My soul was being oddly silent.
Hang on, let me find out what's going on.
Stand by, friends.
Verified only. I don't know what that means. Now, why aren't you verified on Twitch? I haven't changed anything, so unless that's something to do with your login with Twitch. Yeah, I don't think I've ever changed. I have not changed anything recently with chat, so I'm wondering if there's an issue with your login. I'm trying to find any other settings here.
Oh,
change stream title, and then yeah, no, I didn't change it there. Settings, channel, stream setting, disconnection latency mode. Always enable. It's not on subscriber only.
Let's see if I can log into my alt account. Let's see if I have it.
Yeah, there's no new settings that I'm aware of. Let's see, we have an option here. So yeah, I mean, other than all chatters must have verified email, which has always been on. That's it. I don't know why. Yeah, that has not changed. We've always required chatters to have a verified email on Twitch.
What happened? What did you do to your account?
Yeah, so that hasn't changed. We do not require a phone verification because I totally understand people's hesitation.
Sure.
But the verified email typically matters just because.
Oh yeah.
Friendship again?
What?
Friendship
Hello?
again?
Who was that? All right, Soul, what's up? Okay, wait, you're back now. Okay. So wait, so Kage, you were able to type in there.
I was able to type.
Right, Soul, you're typing again. So you got an error that said verified members only, but why was Twitch not? Interesting. I'll take a look at that. Because yeah, I haven't changed anything, so unless Twitch messed up at some point. Yeah, verify your emails and settings and join chat. That must have just been a that's weird.
That is super strange.
We'll just have to keep an eye on it. Hopefully that won't be an issue for anybody else. But if there is anybody else out there in chat and you are having an issue, I'm gonna drop our Discord link in the chat. Oh shit, hold on. Yeah, there we are. Discord link in the chat. So if you were having the same issue, if you were in chat in Twitch and you are unable to chat with us, let us know in Discord, please.
And when they go into Discord, regardless of whether we get them set up, they should be able to type in the.
Were you able to log into your alt account?
I'm looking for my login for it real quick.
Yeah, I wonder if that. Yeah, it must have just been a hiccup with the verification. I'm just curious if there's anybody else out there that's having an issue. Let's see what happens when I go. Chat. Let's see what happens when I chat.
Chatting with chat, y'all.
Yeah, okay, so I mean I'm already logged in, but I just wanted to see if there was an issue like through my mobile. Don't know how to help. I'm glad you're here back, but I don't know if anyone else is having an issue, but I hope not. Anyway, So we had a bunch of updates last week, and not much has really changed. There's been some minor developments, but I can say this. Friday is going to be a very, very big day. There are going to be lots and lots of updates on Friday, so be here on Friday for a lot of updates. Kage may not be here, but we will definitely have a lot to talk about. I will, at least. If Kage is here, we will probably do another build just to kind of finalize sublet and subclasses. And if he's not here, then I will do the first alpha test run of OSR as promised. Otherwise, it'll be next week. So either this Friday or next Friday, the very first OSR alpha test will be ran. I'm super excited.
Dude, that's gonna be clean. That's gonna be very clean.
So we will get at least one. So we'll have 3 Fridays left. So the plan is 2 Fridays. 2 of these last 3 Fridays will be OSR testing for alpha builds, and the other will be for the final Echo Archer, just so we can kind of get that done,
Right.
because it's been on our list for a minute. And so that's what's happening this month. So OSR is officially launching in alpha. Starting next month, I will be looking at developers to help me with the beta build for the interface, and then we can officially hopefully launch that after another month or 2. So that's happening, and then I will have more behind the scenes Misfit Gamer Studios stuff for Friday. A lot of stuff is going to be happening this week.
That's my alt.
Sweet. All right.
I can type in there, so that was weird. Sorry, Soul. I don't know why that happened, but
yeah, I'm excited. I'm super excited because Friday is going to have just so many updates. I have so much happening.
Dude, that's I love what we're building. I love what we're building. It's gonna look so cool. And yeah, I'm sad if I don't make it this upcoming Friday, but regardless, it's gonna be good times.
I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be pretty dope. But you know, we'll see what happens. But we have a review today. I don't suppose Dez is here yet.
I did ping them in Discord, so hopefully they come hang out with us pretty soon. I did see it looked like they were online.
All right. Well, they'll probably jump in here. Again, I don't know what's going on with Twitch. Like, my viewers spike every now and again. It's like we were at 5 and now we're at 2 again. So I don't know. It's hard to tell like who's
What's
here,
accurate,
who's not.
yeah.
If someone's actually like live with us, but I guess we can chill for just a few more minutes, and if Dez doesn't show up, we will continue. It's not going to be a very long one. Races usually tend to go pretty quick.
True.
I wish I had more updates. The problem right now is, I mean, I'll just be honest. It's been a long waiting game. I have been waiting days. Basically, most of last week was me doing a whole bunch of hurry up and wait, filling out forms, submitting them, talking with
That's what happens with
our
admin
artists.
stuff.
I mean, today, I'm literally like right now, I am waiting for stuff to happen for the website to go live. Like the website can't go live until a few things happen. So that hopefully will all finish in the next day or 2. But I literally it could be any minute now. I literally have not shut off my computer in over a week. And I have the same 5 tabs open that every single time I enter the office, I refresh them just to see if there's an update.
Yep.
Just to see if any of them have gone. And I've been doing this for like 6 straight days. It's nuts. But yeah, there's so much coming this month, and then next month we're probably doing too much, but you know what? I don't care. It's how I do it.
Here's the deal. Too much is very relative. Too much means you can't handle it. And I don't think that's what's happening. I think like
too much is an unnecessary, like for the stage that we're at. Like okay, so here's what I mean by this, right? There's a YouTube channel that I've been following, and they've been out for years.
Sure.
And they're like making what I would call good money. They may not be, like millionaire rich, but like for the views they get, I would love to have that as my income.
We'll get there. We'll get there one day.
And they just announced merch for the very first time. They have been just doing this whole thing with just their content.
Sure.
And it's like, I see that happen a lot where I'll see these people and I'm like, oh, I just got like these stickers, or I just got this plushie, or I just got this thing. And I'm just like, and here I am And I have a laundry list of things that I would love to just launch next month. And I'm just like, but we're not, like, we have people who want stuff, but you know what I mean? Like, we're not to the size where it's worth that level of investment. So I'm having to put them, like, I have all the plans ready. It's just that I have to wait for them to launch when they're at their respected time. You know what I mean? That's the problem.
I will say, and this is just from my perspective, I think that there's a lot of people, or like a lot of these other channels, like they have their own timeline, like what works for them. It's not necessarily going to be what's most advantageous for us, right? Because a lot of other people could have done it sooner than us or later than us or whatever.
Yeah, but it's more about business because again, it takes money to do all of that.
Sure,
and that's the thing is we're doing all of this, like they're doing that long after they started making money. And then they're like, hey, maybe my audience will spend a little bit more doing that. We're not making money, and we're like, hey, maybe we can make, like, it
could get us to that point.
That's not how you do it.
I mean, maybe, but like,
that's not how you do it. You that's why I'm not doing, that's why a lot of this stuff isn't happening all at once.
It's not like you're doing it so that you can make enough money, but the possibility still exists. That's all I'm saying. It's like,
it doesn't really, like, to be completely honest, the concept of making money is not there right
then
now.
Maybe I'm stupidly optimistic, but I am optimistic. I don't think that that's an unrealistic possibility. I think that it's very much something that is possible for us, especially with the direction that we've going, with the growth that we've seen, with the, I mean, again, we're not huge, but we have people that are regular. We've gotten to the place where we are affiliate. We've gotten people who've subbed to us for months at a time, over 6 months in a row. Like, that in and of itself, I feel like speaks to the potential that we have. And I think
potential as entertainers, yes. The potential for merch, that's a totally different ballgame.
I don't necessarily agree with that, but I understand your skepticism.
I mean, having been in both sides of the business, like, yeah, it's like the idea that a handful of people like might like our stuff, but you also got to remember most of the stuff that we can do isn't a service. So even the few people that like us, they're only going to buy once. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like there's added value to a lot of the stuff that you can get from us. It's the problem of scalability. It's always going to be scalability. We can't make money off of 5 people. You know what I mean? 2 people can't make a living off of 5 people.
That's not exactly, but that's exactly my point. Is a lot of this stuff, who knows what the thing is? Like, you've even said it yourself. Who knows what the thing is that's going to get our name out there? Maybe it's one-shot rivals. Maybe it's the dice profiler. Maybe it's the fact that we finally have a shop. Maybe people seeing that are going to bring us in and be like, oh, this is cool shit. I want to see what else these guys do. So, and any one of these things could be the potential thing that launches us to a different platform. So that's what I mean when I'm talking about being optimistic, saying that there's a possibility for us, for wherever direction that we end up going, it could bring value that is unexpected.
All right, well, I'm glad you're optimistic.
As am I. Like, that's the way I choose to be, man. Like, you can be, but
I prefer to be a realist. I make better decisions when I look at things realistically.
You know, decision making is not necessarily being done based upon your optimism or lack thereof. It's made based off of logic, and that's what I can appreciate. But it doesn't mean I can't be optimistic about whatever it is that we're doing.
I mean, that's true. I mean, you know, you can be optimistic about my logic. That's how we run the company, right?
Sure.
I'll be logical about the optimism, and you be optimistic about the logic. Oh wow, but yeah, I'm really hopeful. I think at the end of the day, it will be fun to have, but while this is going to be a fun side project to get going, it also just means that once it's all there, it really does mean that once it's live, there's going to have to be a much bigger focus coming back to streaming. Like, not to say that we really like cut back on anything, right? Like, we're still doing the 2 days a week and we still have all of the content coming out, but I feel like there will definitely over the next year have to be a new type of push for improved content, whether that be the types of episodes and series that we do, whether it's just upgrading the equipment and just constantly getting better. But again, with all of this now launching, in order to make it worth it, in order to bring it to its fullest potential, it will take us just going to that next level of being streamers. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, and I think
more about like what we did with like how Subclass Showdown. Like when we did that big this, like all of the newest updates that we did, that we're gonna need another one of those within the next year. Once all of this launches, we need another big push, whether it's visual or whatnot.
I also think a large part of that's going to be when we finally are able to, I don't know if whatever it looks like when we are able to get regularly edited content. Like I think that's going to be another like huge hurdle. That's
I think that
like,
might be the big
change
thing.
the face of what we got going on. So.
Yeah, that's I feel like for sure that is 2026's goal. 2026's goal is to have regular content, but not for me. I can't go back to doing that.
No,
But now that we have an idea, right? Now at least that I produced some stuff, now at least we have a foundation to tell someone, yeah, that's kind of what we're going for. Make it better. You know what I mean? Like that was kind of because that was the original thing I needed to do. I at least needed to get my hands dirty and say like, what kind of aspect do I want? Now that I have a handful of episodes, at least when I give them the raw, they can be like, oh, okay, that's the kind of stuff you're cutting out. Like, that's where I feel like I wasn't ready to tell an editor what I want. Now at least I could be like, hey, this is my shitty version. I know you can do a lot better. Like,
right.
outdo me. But yeah, I think next year will be, because this year a lot of the side projects is where a lot of the investment's going. So, the Dice Profiler, the merch shop, just the website, the business, everything being built up in the background is really just taking a lot of the funds. But once this is all there, it's just going to be the kind of hopefully minimal upkeep in the background. So I'm hoping that by next year, I can then reshift priorities into and then. Okay, ChillHop.
Disrespectful.
Like we actually heard it finally. Like hit. Like normally we forget.
Yes, I actually heard it this time. Subclass Showdown was dope, Hecate, and I really hope either you and Soul or somebody comes out here for round 2.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. I would love to host one. Like I would actually love to like put out the challenge ourselves. I just haven't had time to think about it yet.
Sure.
I think once all of this stuff settles down, I think we might put out another challenge.
Okay, that would be kind of sick.
And at that point, we might
out to the community.
Well, one thing I might be able to do is I might be able to put out the challenge, and if we get a certain amount of people, maybe like.
I was gonna ask, do you think that they would need to be a 1 versus 1, or could it be like a 3-person free for all?
I was thinking about that because I mean, we really didn't do a combative, one-on-one, right? It wasn't really. It was more of a.
The closest we got to that was like the AI generated, like.
But it was never. But it wasn't them at each other. So realistically, we could just expand the voting system and have a better ranking system because we really did a fair job at ranking them with the point system. So it wouldn't be like we couldn't. It's not that we couldn't do multiples. It's just the more you have, the longer it will take.
Right.
So I was trying to think of like, would there be a way for them to submit them and then have like, if there's like too many, have the community vote down to who the top like competitors are? But I don't know how that would work, but I'm thinking about it because we could even have something where the community submits questions to us, like a list of questions that they would want answered. We'll select the best questions. And so if like there's too many, like let's say we get like 5 contestants, but we only want 2 or 3.
Sure.
We say, okay, all contestants must answer this question. And then everybody, the community votes on whose answers they like the most. And then we do like a couple rounds. And then the people who win the community votes are the ones that actually go into the showdown.
Okay.
So it's like the authors get a chance to earn the right to go into the showdown.
Before or after they put in all the time to create whatever subclass or whatever the challenge is for?
That you would probably have to assume that because it would be when they submit it for the showdown. Like they'd have to have a completed version. But the questions could be unrelated to like the challenges we'll do. But maybe one of the questions just like, if you find out a shopkeeper stiffed you 10 gold, what would you do? Like what would this character do? It just could be a dumb question like that. Like, let's just say someone in the audience was just like, I just want to know if you found out after you left a shop that you got stiffed, would you go back and like steal the gold? Would you let it go? Like You know what I mean? Just you give them the answer. What would you do? And then the community just gets to vote on whether you should go into the tournament or not. Like, so they would get to ask questions that would not appear in the tournament, but are directly reflective of the build that they made. So again, the community would just get to decide however they wanted to who should go. Like, if someone says like how much, it's like, someone could just simply ask, do you like gold or silver?
Sure.
And that's it. Just they answer that question and the community votes on who gets to pass. You know what I mean? Like, it could be dumb, but at the same time, that's kind of how like tournaments are. They're kind of dumb in terms of if you have, two athletes that are that good to able to compete, it's kind of arbitrary which one ends up going to compete.
I mean, sure, but I feel like, especially with us not having actually seen whatever has been submitted beforehand, number one, there's the possibility of removing something that is absolutely phenomenal. Number two, I feel like, just from my perspective, it would suck to have somebody go through all that work creating a subclass that doesn't get to get shown.
I mean, true, but then again, but the same thing would happen if we have 10 people who want to do it. It's like, so because the other option would be then we'd have to select the people before they do the build.
Well, the way I would look at it is like, you put out the request, you put out the challenge, and then before people create it, they say, hey, I would like to participate in this challenge. And then we can select the people that participate in the challenge, and then only the people that we select do the work to make the build. That way you're not spending who knows how many hours putting a build together, and then all of a sudden.
But that's kind of the thing. I mean, if you're going to do like an art contest, you got to put in the time to show off what it is that you're going to compete with.
But at least someone's going to look at it.
Well, that's why the community is there to ask the question, so you can show off a piece. It's kind of like the selling point.
That random question is a very hard show off of your build.
It would be multiples. That's what I'm saying. It wouldn't just be one single question, but
still, I mean, however you want to rock it, like that would feel bad to me.
Well, honestly, because again, scalability. At that point, other than that, it's just going to be a raffle then of who gets to participate. Then at that point, someone may never get to play, because if they, you know what I mean, like how do you fairly, unless you just rotate through every single person in the Discord. Like again,
I mean, number one, it would depend on people who want to participate, and number two, it would roll very similar to probably to how we do homebrew review. Like if you haven't done one already, then I'll give you an opportunity to show off what you got. You know what I mean?
That wouldn't really feel good either, because we're not going to do these that often. I mean, if we're only going to do one or two a year,
and that's fair enough.
I'd much rather have everybody have it like build something, put it in, and then again, if it doesn't get selected, it's like a contest. You don't get selected, but you built something to go in there. Like, I think that I would like to see more submissions.
If you feel like that would still feel good and it would encourage people to still participate, then
they're still getting, because why not? Why not? They'd still get to show them off. They'd still get to show off what they built. They just won't be in the showdown. But it's not like they wouldn't be able to show them off somewhere like in the Discord. It's not like, they would just be, it's not like their work wouldn't go anywhere. It just wouldn't be on the episode. But I still feel like if you're going to do a contest or something like that, you got to show up with something. You can't just be like, oh, I would participate, but I'm not going to do anything unless I'm chosen. Like, the idea is to show off that, hey, I built something. Let's see if this can, be worth it.
If I hope that works out. I hope people feel good about that.
I don't see why not. I mean, again, any contest, you have to come with something. You can't just enter a contest with nothing and then show up to hope that, you have to be able to prove that you should go in. So if there's going to be one and 10 people want to join, yeah, I think we need 10 submissions to weed out and who's going to go to the tournament.
Sure, but usually that has to do something with their skill.
Well, exactly. So if we build a mini tournament, if we build a series that the community cares about, things that the community wants to know how these characters would do, and they're the ones that say, these are the ones that fulfilled my needs that I would like to see how they win the tournament, right? That's the way I'm looking at it, as the community gets to decide, like, these are the things I care about. This is why, this is the type of thing I want to see compete, right? If we're going to do a tournament about Rangers and someone actually cares about how the Ranger, does your Ranger have animal affinity? So if they ask a question about how you would deal with an animal, and if one Ranger says, oh, well, I would use this ability to kill them, or I have great abilities, I would just hurt them all. But then another one says, oh, well, I would use a ability to talk to them and I can actually calm them down. I actually have this cool pack tactic thing. Like, you might be like, hey, I'd rather see the one that won't kill in this tournament. So the questions don't have to be nonsense questions, but they would have to reflect the build in some way that would make the community interested in seeing that compete.
I will be very interested to see how that actually looks. Because
I mean, it's
I think that I have a hard time imagining what that will look like in practice. But I mean, if you got it, then I'd love to see it.
I mean, it's gonna be quite simple.
I would love to see
it's gonna be a question and answer. Here's your question, and contestants,
like
what are your answers?
I am looking forward to seeing what that looks like in practice.
I just explained it, but okay. Like, do we have Dez yet? We are almost at we're at the 1 hour mark. Do we have Dez arriving? Is Dez in Discord yet? I don't have Discord up. Did he get back to you?
Negative.
Well, Dez is gonna miss their review. Too bad for Dez. Like I said, I don't think it's gonna be a long one because it's a race. So, nope, not seeing anything. All right, well, top of the hour, he had his chance. Tough for them. All right, well, let's find out what they gave us today. Bam. All right, so we have a Harpy. So this is a playable race, not like a background. Yeah, this is the playable race, and there are
you're going to use a character creation,
right? And there's no subspecies, right?
Not
this
that I'm
is a
aware of.
Singular one. Okay.
It's been a while since I put this one together. There might be a couple in here, like there was last time, but there's no like separate pages for any of them.
Okay, because Dez was the one that's done that before, right? That gave us like. Was Dez the one that did? Was the insectoid
Dez the one that did the insect race? There was the lizard,
and that had like a couple versions.
Yes, there was
right,
there was like several of them in there. So
gotcha. All right. Well, we'll see if that one has anything here. And I think the two things that we talked about before is we're interested in seeing what the Harpy song, how that translates, and whether or not we get flight. I think those are the two biggest things that we were curious about
ahead of time,
whether or not that was going to be worthy enough of a playable character, especially starting out the gate. All right, so the Harpy playable race by Desmar Sama. As always, we start with the description. Legends tale. Wow. Legend tells tale of a wandering demigod, or perhaps an extremely powerful wizard, that came across a bird song so beautiful that it drove them mad with the purest of its source. So mad that they cursed its singer when they could not find it, thus creating the first Harpy. No one is quite certain on the validity of such a story. No one is even sure if magic was involved in the origins of Harpies, any more so than any other sentient race in the realm. It's an interesting I don't mind that like concept for how the Harpy came to be.
I've never heard that before.
That's
unique. That's very interesting.
I would not mind if that was like a settings explanation for it. That's
I'd be curious what the actual lightweight setting lore is behind Harpies.
I mean, I would assume that most that are like that become like that, similar from like a demigod, or again, usually the combining of two different species. But what is a Harpy other than like?
I mean, what's the fish ones that also have a song?
Sirens.
Sirens? Yeah. So
interesting. So they could have like a similar ancestry,
something like that. Maybe they're some charismatic god gave them some weird whatever.
I really want I wouldn't even mind if someone made like the god of bards wanted to create their own species. And those are the two that ended up happening.
Wild.
Is the Harpy and Sirens, just because they were just like, well, I'm too good at my craft. So are they. By the way, we did get the September community stream. So next month, there will be a community stream. And it'll go up by 5K next month. So it'll be now 15K.
That's what you get.
Because it was obviously too easy for y'all to get within 10 days.
Easy squeezy.
All right. So Harpies are not usually sociable peoples. Recursing themselves into the wilderness, mountains, or rocky coast when one does see fit to interact with the so-called modern world and learn the ins and outs of civilization. It is not as challenging as one might think. The common tongues come to them as it would any sentience, and practices and cultures seem to fascinate them. interesting that they're saying that they basically prefer to be alone, but it's not for a lack of ability. It's just truly a lack of desire.
Okay.
So they're kind of just basically saying that there's no problem. They have no issues integrating. They just choose not to.
You just don't like people. You're
Yeah.
introverts. Get yourself.
Integrating themselves into those around them seems to be a common source of pride in civilized harpies, though some have been known to complain about having to wear clothing and the concept of modesty. All right, so I'm definitely getting I'm almost getting old school dragon culture vibes. Where
Dragon culture.
like when you look at like the original dragon cultures, especially like the color, the chromatics, there was kind of this mindset that some were just savage and brutal and whatnot, but more often than not it was situations like this where it was just a chosen isolation, but their abilities to socialize and to be civilized are usually like further extended than most people would give them credit for. So I kind of like that storyline where it's more of a choice than it is they're just savage and beastly.
Sure.
It's just more of a, I just have no purpose for society. It's not for me.
Okay.
All right, so we have ability scores. So we can choose one, choose any +2 or any +1, or choose a +3 or 3 +1s. Not terrible. Again, wouldn't mind a force. We've talked about this many times.
Sure.
But that's neither here nor there. We have a size of medium, which makes perfect sense. You're considered a monstrosity. Now, does that just mean you're also considered a monster for the sake of target?
So no, I don't think it means that things like control monster are going to work on you. I think that anything that specifically says the word monstrosity in the spell, because there are certain things that will affect constructs, there's certain things that will affect monstrosities, there's certain things that will affect fae and undead or whatever the case may be, and so anything that counts as that, you count it as well.
Got you. But kind of like creature, monstrosity doesn't necessarily mean category of monster.
Yeah, like so Warforged are constructs. Right? But you still are a whatever it is that you are, you're still
Gotcha.
like the creature that you are. You know what I mean?
Okay, that makes sense. Right. Okay. So yeah, because I guess there's probably monsters that aren't monstrosities.
Yes.
So okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, some monsters are aberrations. Some monsters are other things.
Does monstrosity come with anything other than that classification? Like just like that, just being one of those things, like construct kind of does, because like you don't have to breathe and all of that. But other than that, are things of this category simply for the purpose of effect?
So we were talking the other day about a different creature type. I forget exactly what it was. It was one of the. Let me look. It was one of the other ones that we did most recently. Let me look. Was it the Sui Genesis? Or generous? Aberration.
Yes.
That the way that I best understood it is like stuff from like astral plane, something that's so monstrosity, I feel like, is the description of something that is what I would call an unnatural being.
Gotcha.
Like a beast is like more of a natural being. A monstrosity is more of a, and it could be natural. It could,
but it's what you would call a freak of nature. A monstrosity is something that you would look at and go, you are, you should be, or what's like you are against the will of God. You're against nature. You shouldn't exist, kind of thing. Like, we don't look at you as you should have happened, kind of thing.
Aberrations, I would say, are more likely than not from a different plane of existence. I would say monstrosities aren't.
Yeah, they're
traditionally
from
a different
material plane.
They could be, right?
Gotcha.
But like there's probably monstrosities all over the place, but we also have local monstrosities. We also have, what do you call it, Midgard or whatever this plane of existence is.
Yeah. No, okay. That makes that helps a lot with categorizing what that actually means. So I like that. I like when you kind of throw off the character, because I don't think very many options make the player a monstrosity. So that's kind of cool.
Sure.
I would make me curious how many things can actually affect monstrosities. Like
how
much
often
of
that would actually come into play.
Because especially if it's more against enemies that you would come across, is it more often that like the players are going to have things that affect monstrosities, but how often do creatures?
Sure.
That's
And I'll say anytime you come against an NPC of sorts, they're going to have very similar things, spells, abilities that you might, as a player, might also have access to. So anything that a player could have to affect monstrosities, an NPC could also have to affect monstrosities. And so maybe the DM can just take advantage of that little...
new idea for the ADMG. Similar to like the monstrosities, right? We've talked about similar things before, but it makes me feel like once again, this is something that is a great mechanic, but it's underutilized in a different way. And I feel like this is kind of something more old school because a lot of things in older editions were much more roleplay based, were much more, about the narrative. These categories I feel should carry more weight. Like, there's like nowadays it's more of a trope, but the idea that more traditionally, if you were a tiefling, you try to hide whatever showed off that you were a tiefling.
Sure.
Because socially, tieflings were typically not acceptable. So traditionally speaking, like if you had a single horn, you'd try to hide the fact that you had a horn because you didn't usually want to show off that you were a tiefling.
Okay.
But now it's kind of more of a trope that you do that and no one really cares. I feel like the concept of being like a monstrosity should have been the same thing. Like what you had just said, any NPC could have an ability that affects monstrosities,
sure.
Which is like, cool. That's going to be great if as me as a DM wants to do an encounter. But now it spurs that narrative part of my DM brain that says, but man, what if the idea of you being a monstrosity was like an issue, like almost in a way of calling it like an affliction, to where even though at first sight, like if you got to the point to where people didn't immediately recognize you as a monstrosity. And now granted, monstrosity is just the one I'm using right now, but we could talk about like any category that doesn't really do anything other than if it's specifically targeted. But it would be interesting that you could turn those into something that aren't obvious. So that NPC could be a friend, but does a spell that affects monstrosities and suddenly you're affected. And then that could like change their reaction to you. Like some of these things are almost like they're just a given. Like, well, you're a monstrosity, so it's obvious everyone knows you're a monstrosity. But it's like, what if they didn't? And maybe that's kind of like an area we should explore with like the ADMG of like categorizations that have subtleties that have pros and cons. So maybe you don't want to just kind of like, the idea that when you choose to be a rogue, but you want to play the character that no one knows is a thief because you don't want people in-game, in roleplay worrying about you.
Right.
So you play, I'm just a merchant. I'm a traveling merchant. I just get really good prices on things. And really, you're just a fence.
Right.
But that's the thing, right? Everyone kind of wants that trope of when the player chooses a rogue, everyone's like, oh, what? So you're just going to steal from all of us? But again, that's that bullshit metagaming. So I wonder if there's times where it's like, maybe some of these things should be one of those, if you find out in game, it has more meaning. I don't know how to get into words what I'm trying to get.
I think I know what you're talking about. It's like there is more value behind the designation than just having a designation, right?
Yes.
Like theoretically, whether you choose to be male, female, non-binary, whatever, like it makes no difference in game, like except for who may or may not hit on you, right? Like outside of that, there's really not a whole lot of difference. But if there was a difference, if it was like, hey,
you went to a guild of a certain gender, like an Amazonian guild.
Yes. And like they only are willing to deal with like Amazonians. Like they don't mess with men. Like I'm not going to talk to you, So like if you're a monstrosity, maybe you might have an in a certain place. Maybe you could go talk to a group of gnolls, whereas a regular human wouldn't be able to.
And that's because there's things like, like there was more important spells. I think they're still around, but you don't use them as much. Like, view aura. There were spells where you could find someone's alignment. You could find out like what school of magic they knew, or like certain things about them. Just like, just there was different spells that kind of stuff mattered because it was usually hidden. You met someone and that was it. They're a person.
Sure.
So I don't know. I don't know how this would associate to the ADMG, but putting more weight on every one of those choices, right? The fact that you chose to, the fact that you are a celestial, like, you know what I mean? Like the fact that whatever you chose means that you're a celestial should mean more than just certain spells affect you more or less, right? Like, sure. I feel like it should have weight if someone were to find out. Like, again, as you're dealing with an NPC who casts magic, and let's say it's a spell that, Celestials are immune to, and he casts it and you're immune to it. And then you could have that moment where it just like dawns on them that, oh my God, I know what you are.
Sure.
Like, why doesn't that have more weight than just, oh fuck, spell didn't work? But again, this is coming from a DM who is much bigger into the narrative.
Yes,
so maybe
and
I'm
I feel
asking
like-
too much for the mechanics to do that.
Perhaps. I feel like we would need to explore, very similar to how we were talking about like creating loot for certain creatures and stuff. Like, we would need to be able to like provide examples of what uses of this could look like. That way,
Yeah.
the people who see our ADMG can go beyond the book and expand what that looks like. But like, at least giving some examples, some scenarios in which, hey, you find out this person is X, Y, and Z, and now it has ABC implications.
Yeah.
And now you don't want the king to know that you have this sort of thing associated with you because, whatever, you might get
he has a
banned,
problem
you might
with
get
it.
whatever, or something like that.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah, we'll have to. We'll.
And I'll say there was actually this one anime that I watched that used a trope very similar to this. It was like the type of magic that they used, and it wasn't a bad thing. They weren't hiding it because it was a bad thing. They were hiding it because it was a good thing. And it's so rare and so valuable for anybody to have that particular skill that everybody would have tried to come at them, try to steal them, try to experiment on them, try to coerce them into doing whatever it is that they want them to do, like different reasons like that. So like that kind of mentality.
Or even in Full Metal Alchemist, those alchemists that don't need a circle but still show it off like they do.
Sure,
Like the ones that act like they need a circle.
Like they need a circle.
Wow, why is his name the main dude? Why is his name
Edward?
Yeah, like he wears the glove and acts like he needs a circle, but in reality we know he doesn't.
Sure.
And there's a couple other characters that do the same thing. But it's like that, right? It's not like it's good or bad. It's just that I have the upper hand making sure you think one way. And if you think another way, so there's more to that, I think, than
wasn't it? I swear it was Yu Yu Hakusho, but one of the biggest elements of that show was the opponent not knowing what your power was.
Yes.
And the second they found out what your power was, then they could find a way to like manipulate it, or
because you only had some sort of like you only had one
before they knew. Then it was like it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah. So I think there's more into that D&D has gotten further away from, which again, probably mechanically a good idea, but I think that there's a way to bring that back to, again, make choices feel like they're going to have future impacts beyond what I can do or what can target me.
Sure.
All right. Anyway, we are moving on from creature type to speed. So we have a speed of 30. Fly equal to your walk. So there it is.
Boom.
So we have a full fly speed.
Yes, indeed.
Some people are going to have a problem with that. I don't know why, but you know what? Get over it. Stop being lazy.
Figure it out.
Remember, 30 feet is 30 feet, regardless of left, right, up, or down.
It's very true.
All right, flight. Because of your wings, you have a fly speed equal to your walking speed. You can't use this fly speed if you're wearing medium or heavy armor.
I like that.
That is, I don't even, wait, is that even on the Aarakocra?
Nope.
That's
Nope.
great. I like that change. I think that's amazing.
I think that is going to make a lot of people have a lot less problems with it.
Yes, I am so happy with that. I actually wouldn't even mind even also saying the backpack. Just even further limiting your storage capacity. I would not mind a backpack. What's going on, Foxer? You didn't Mitch. You didn't miss much. We are doing a Harpy race review from Desmar. Just got through the description, and now we're on its abilities, talking about flying. So yeah, I would say I love it. I think that if you're going to give something a fly speed at the gate, the medium and heavy armor is perfect. I think just to add one little extra layer, one extra barrier, and for roleplay aspect, make it also a backpack, because then the character would just be like, oh, screw that. Drop the backpack, I'm gone. Like Superman move it, you know what I mean?
I agree with that, but I would put like a weight limit. Like, so even if you aren't a campaign that particularly tracks like encumbrance and things like that, Like,
That's why I'm
hey,
only doing backpack or like anything that would go on the back, just because it would stop the wings. A satchel, anything that you can hold, fine.
But see, my understanding is that Harpy's wings are like attached to their arms.
Oh, is that how they are?
That's what the articulations and like the images of Harpy's.
Okay,
that I've
well then
seen.
if that's the case, then maybe a backpack would be fine, because I guess it would still, like, you'd be able to, you know, chest strap it, I guess you could say. I was just thinking of, like, you know, in between the wings, but if it's more of like,
I don't think they have wings that like sprout out of their back.
Gotcha,
I think
it's more
their
of just
wings
the
are like
arms.
almost like bats, basically. Like
Then
their arms are their wings, kind
then
of.
maybe in that case, I would just, for flavor, just say they can't wear backpacks. Like, you could even just say that they, you know.
So they have to wear like satchels and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to do too much, but anyway, yeah. I think, I mean, bare minimum, the medium and heavy armor, totally fine. I wouldn't mind just something like a backpack. Just again, just that moment of giving the character the option to do something, but also
Sure.
it sounds kind of cool to have to be like, okay, it's time, drop the backpack, let's go. Like, there's kind of a cool moment, but it would have to only work sensibly.
Yeah.
So take that with a grain of salt. If you don't have proficiency in weapons, you cannot use those while flying, because you'd need to hold the,
If you don't have proficiency in what?
in a certain weapon, you wouldn't be able to use it while flying, because technically you'd have to flap and hold the weapon. So you need to be proficient in. I would even say you can't wield two-handed weapons, heavy weapons while flying. You can't operate ranged weapons outside of a hand crossbow while flying, and maybe only like bladed weapons of a short sword or smaller while flying. Because, you know, just
I would say I like the proficiency, and I would, just to simplify
it's simplified.
just to say you
Simpler.
can't use two-handed weapons while flying.
Two-handed and non-proficiency.
Yeah.
I agree with that. That would make a lot of sense.
That is a very cool addition. I wanna look up a picture of a Harpy real quick.
Wouldn't even mind if you are right too about the wings and things. Yeah, you even could start talking about like what you could only carry with like your feet versus your hand. Like, yeah.
Oh yeah, that would be interesting.
So
let me.
interesting though. Good point. But I do like that though. I think the medium and heavy armor, I think Kage is correct. That is going to make everyone feel okay with it. That's going to make it just a little bit easier to handle.
So weird. I'm seeing both. I'm seeing wings coming from the back and wings that are arms.
So we would need Des to confirm their version.
Yeah.
Images.
I'm seeing more that are arms than that are coming out of the back.
Yeah, the ones that are coming out of the back feel more like a playable character version, whereas the ones that are the arms seem more like the creature you would expect to fight.
Yeah.
So that's gonna have to be. Oh, but here's one that is actually like a TTRPG character, and that one has it on its arms, like it comes out from here, not all the way to the shoulder, just the feathers and the wings come out from the forearm.
Almost like forearm /
Okay, so that's what we're gonna go with, assuming that it's connected to the arms, kind of like I guess this.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're gonna kind of
Yes.
go with this as the main Harpy idea for it being right off the arms. So yeah, we're gonna assume that. So I think that the medium heavy armor is great. I wouldn't even mind an added bit here that you can't fly in medium or heavy. In medium, you have a glide speed, but in heavy, you don't.
Oh, so like you could jump off of a thing and like mitigate fall damage.
Yeah, I think in heavy armor, you can't.
Sure,
I think,
sure.
yeah, you're wearing
You
heavy
drop
armor,
it.
you're just dropped. But I think that, again, just one of those small little things I wouldn't mind is I think that, again, reducing my armor for flight is good. But if I do want to have medium armor, if I am want to be one of those characters that wants that kind of a build, I still think that you should give me the glide speed for medium armor. Because again, if I'm gonna have wings, you can't just eliminate them outright that easily. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I feel like there's got to be a proper step down. So that's for sure my first suggestion is allow me to glide.
I will say, I think so. Fly and hover are standard mechanics. I think glide should be a standard mechanic in 5th edition.
Oh, yeah.
Which it's not right now. As far as I know, it's not. But like
it really
being
should
able
be.
to just say
It's essentially Featherfall. It's just the natural version. I just consider it natural version of Featherfall, but
Yes.
the fact is I'm allow you to go vertical or horizontally. Just Featherfall is straight down. I just think that you should just be able to do 10 feet, every round or something
Right.
in a direction. I don't mind control like that.
And I think there should be some sort of like written articulation of what that looks like, so people can be like, all right, this is what it looks like, this is what it means to glide. Because like, you know how a lot of the times in these creature builds, I've said that, hey, that's like a standard feature, like flyby, it's a standard feature, pack tactics, it's a standard feature, like all of that stuff. I think there should be some sort of like universal articulation of what that looks like. Let's put it in the
ADMG. Because honestly, glide really to me should just be a set foot down and a set foot up to a set foot horizontal per round, right? So what's feather fall, like 10 feet per round? You
10 feet or 5 feet.
Yeah, you lightly fall that. So I would even say like with glide, it should be like 15 feet per round down, or even 10 feet per round down, 15 feet.
60 feet per round. So choose up to 5 falling creatures. All creatures rate of descent slows to 60 feet per round until the spell ends. If a creature lands before the spell ends, it takes no falling damage.
Yeah. So it's a light, because if you think about it, it's a light stroll. It's like a light walk. If you imagine what it would take for you to go 60 feet in a round.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, that's more like a dash.
That is dashing for most creatures.
So you're basically dashing to the ground, but it's not terminal velocity.
Yeah.
So it's still it's a lot slower, but I feel like, I feel like you could easily just make a glide mechanic that is a certain set number down and allowed to control out a certain set. And it's basically the feather fall, but with that added control. So I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But moving on to talents. So you have talents that you can use to make unarmed strikes. When you hit with them, the strike deals 1d6 plus your strength modifier slashing damage instead of the bludgeoning damage normal for an unarmed strike. I don't mind that. I don't mind slashing. 1d6 plus your strength sounds pretty decent.
I don't
It's
mind.
beefy.
I don't mind slashing. I don't necessarily mind the 1d6 either. For whatever reason, especially because this is a flying creature, I feel like this is a time where either it should be standard for your dexterity, or at least give you the option to use your dexterity instead of strength.
Yes. I would not mind a dexterity opportunity. This also brings up a new idea. I don't know if this is the time and place for it, but it made me think how we've encouraged different types of builds in homebrew. One of the other options is choices. I think this would be kind of interesting to say you can do the 1d6 plus your strength slashing, or 1d6 plus your dex mod in piercing damage, and you choose your specialty. This one may not be the time and place for it, but it gave me that idea that if you chose the option, you kind of choose the difference in damage type.
Although I would, weirdly enough, I would switch those two. I would say
piercing
strength is piercing, and I would say dexterity is slashing.
Fair enough, but you know what I'm saying? It's the idea of you're not just giving them the two choices, but actually changing the outcome of those choices.
And if that is the case, I think that it would be really cool for going back up to the ability scores to force one of those
to be strength or dex,
and whichever one you choose is which one you get for your talents.
Yep. You think that flight should be a bit more than the walking speed, like the air croakers, which have 25 walk, 50 fly.
50
actually,
fly?
Yeah.
What? Hold up.
But I get the idea of, with these creatures, especially like the harpies, I think they could justifiably fit that be slightly faster on the ground. Yeah. But I do agree, like thinking about the two different creatures, I think I could justify a harpy having a 30 walk and a 40 fly. So different than the air croaker, because you don't want to copy paste.
Sure.
But I definitely agree that you should be, if you're a flying creature, that should be your natural state.
Sure. And I will say, like, looking at a lot of the designs of harpies, their talons, I would say, are not necessarily built for walking around.
Yes.
So like
they should
having a speed less than the standard 30-foot walking speed, I think is fine.
Yeah.
I would also, because it almost feels like they have like the stick bird legs, almost like what are they called?
Like the flamingos.
What are the hairy leg people with hooves?
Like the satyrs.
The satyrs.
Yeah,
Satyrs
yeah.
have like different like lower half. I feel like harpies are very similar with their talon halves down on the bottom. I also think, I don't know if there's a mechanic for this, but they should legitimately be able to like pick something up and hold stuff with their feet. while they're flying. I think
if they don't have the shoes on, I don't mind them being able to like carry stuff like that. That's kind of cool. Yeah. Foxer is laughing at your response to the 50 fly speed.
That's crazy. That's freaking crazy. I did not know that it was. Maybe that's why people are tripping on Eric Hoker, because it's 50 freaking feet. Like,
Super Foxer, clip it. Don't forget to clip it.
Oh,
because you did just like that look on your face. All right.
Wild.
So yeah, so I don't mind the damage, but I do think that I agree with Kage. First and foremost, add the potential for a dex because it's a fly creature. I think that makes perfect sense. But this is the opportunity that we can encourage. If you do that, why not have them both do the same damage but different outcomes? Let the flavor of the character come out with the player's choices, right?
Sure.
I want to do slashing or piercing based off if I choose dex or strength. I think choices like that. That's how I do it in High Point. That's a lot of the ways that characters are built is by choices like that are only made by the player, but not by again, they're choices as in you didn't just choose to be a fighter, so therefore you get these things. Every choice is a myriad of choices that you build upon, right? And that's what I think this could make the big difference between making it fit someone's backstory and lore versus it's just it's a good attack, right?
Sure.
That there's a little bit more of a bringing the whole thing together. Can't clip it anymore. Oh, stupid. All right, that's the limitations of Twitch. All right, well, now we have another ability. I think this is their last ability called Lovely Lure.
Lovely Lure. All right, looks like we got some kind of song. I love it.
And I do like that this is actually level locked, so that's kind of nice.
Sure.
I'm wondering if it should be a higher level, but we'll find out. So starting at level 3, or starting at 3rd level, you can cast the Enthrall spell with this trait without requiring a material component. Once you cast a spell with this trait, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. You can also cast a spell using any spell slot you have of 2nd level or higher. Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma is your spellcasting ability for when you cast Enthrall with this trait, choosing when you select the race. So you would choose Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma when you select the race, and then from then on, you'll get it. So you get basically a free spell of Enthrall, which I think is a higher version of Friendship, right? It's kind of like a tier up because you actually get to control them.
So Friends is a cantrip. This is a 2nd level spell.
So you get it free, but then if you have a spell slot higher, you can freely upcast it as well.
Correct.
If you have the spell slot to do it, otherwise you just get the free spell.
So you can cast it once a day for free, but you can also cast it using any spell slots if you're a spellcaster.
And you can upcast it. Yeah. Cool.
Okay. Okay, I'm trying to, because I'm actually not familiar with this spell, mostly because I don't mess with
it's been a long
enchantment spells. And
I have not
spells.
read the Enthrall spells in 2nd edition.
So basically it says you weave distracting string of words causing creatures of your choice that you can see within range that can hear you to make a wisdom saving throw. Any creature that can't be charmed automatically succeeds the saving throw. And if you or your companions are fighting a creature that has advantage, and if you or your companions are fighting a creature, that creature has advantage on this save. So if you're in the middle of combat with them, then they have advantage on this save. But if you're doing this like surprisingly, or like they don't, or whatever the case may be, if they're not specifically hostile to them, it's just a regular save. But on a failed save, the target has disadvantage on wisdom/perception checks to perceive any creature other than you until the spell ends, or until the target can no longer hear you.
That's a good way to do ambushes.
So the spell ends if you are incapacitated or can no longer speak. So it's weird. This lasts for a minute, but it's not concentration. The fact that it's not concentration makes me feel like you don't have to continuously sing to make this thing work.
Well, because it's a spell. It's not being like a harpy. So this is just a spell.
It says the spell ends early if you can't speak anymore. So
well, it does say that you're speaking the whole time. So I think the idea is just the difference is you can keep speaking and casting it, but if you get attacked, you can still maintain it. Like it's more like kind of like I attribute it to more like you're speaking in tongues and hypnotizing them instead of casting a spell that you have to make sure you're saying perfectly.
But then what if I want to cast a different spell that has verbal components?
Why not? I mean, you're not incapable of speaking. So again, maybe the spell is just as long as you're making noise. Doesn't matter what noise you're making. If you're casting a different spell, as long as they can hear you, it's more like your voice is hypnotic. Doesn't matter what you're saying. It's simply the fact that you're speaking, and as long as you're speaking, they're enthralled. So even if you cast another spell,
you know
you're
how
still
you've
speaking.
seen in those like shows and stuff where someone's like possessed like of a demon, and they almost have like that dual voice or something like that.
Yeah.
Imagine you like activated this dual voice, and now you're just talking
Why not?
in this weird way. Like that's just theoretically a way to articulate it. But
I don't mind that.
Something to that effect, so where you can still do and say and communicate other things, but as long as that
It's like a different
element
pitch.
of your
It's almost
voice,
like you just change the pitch of your voice, and so whatever you say gets underneath their skin or something. Okay.
I could to a certain extent get behind that. I'll just say, just in general, it feels weird to me that if this spell can end early based upon me being incapacitated or no longer able to speak, it feels like it should be concentration.
Yeah, it does.
But I get like it would just make this spell suck a lot more if it were concentration. Like it would mean like you can't cast any other concentration spells.
I think it's fine. Honestly, I think it works. Because it doesn't really do much. It's not like you're commanding them or they're brainless. It's just they have a couple disadvantages on seeing other people until the fight starts. So really, it's a great ambush mechanic, but that's about it. Like other than that, you might be able to talk to some guards and sneak your people in and then just walk away because the guards won't notice. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of practical uses for basically making people not see anyone else around them.
Yeah.
Because that's essentially what, this is basically just another version of invisibility.
And you know what's interesting? It says wisdom checks to perceive. A lot of the times when it talks about wisdom checks or like perception checks, like specifically for any sort of like hound or dog or something like that, like they'll have perception checks based on smell or perception checks based on sight. This is period.
Yeah.
Sight, smell,
that's what I'm saying.
sound,
It's almost kind of like a version of like hypnotic invisibility. It's like I'm the only one in the room. Guys, go. All right, bye. Like, because think about it. You want to get through the gates, right? You want to get through the gates. There's guards there. You could sneak over the wall. You could go barter and try to get one of the servants to let you in, or you could just walk right up and go, hang on a second. Hey guys, what's going on? How's your night going? Yeah. No, you're doing good. Did you need some coffee? You need some coffee? No. Okay, never mind. I'm out of here. Bye. And you literally just had them walk right past them, and now they're about in the castle walls, and all you had to do was just talk to the guard for a few minutes. They don't know anyone else is around. Like that's one of the practical like
and it
role
doesn't
play
say anything
uses.
about them recognizing that they're being charmed after.
And there's no there's no downside when you end it. You can literally just charm someone. You could go into a shop, charm the shopkeep, have the rogue go and pickpocket them, and then leave the shop and be like, oh, never mind, I didn't need to buy anything. And then just leave. You could sell something to a shop, but be like, oh, hey, do you want to sell this for 500 gold? Cool. By the way, talk to me real quick. Have your guy grab your money back and then leave.
I don't think you use passive perception very often, but like theoretically in that example you just gave me, I think most current day DMs would basically use the character's passive perception if someone's trying to pickpocket them just regularly.
Yeah,
right?
the pickpocket's a little bit much for this.
But even
usage.
still, like truly, if this is the case, like I would have to genuinely consider whether it would be harder for them to notice, this person there. Like they would have to like actively, I would say something to the effect of, if your sleight of hand check is below their passive perception, they get to roll at disadvantage to recognize it. And if it's above their passive perception, then they just don't notice because it's above their passive perception.
Yeah, see that works too.
Like
I like
that's probably how I would rock that, because I think that should be a valid way to like play with this, especially if you're going bard with this, like you're going to be wanting to do some cheeky stuff.
I'm
like
thinking
that.
of so many different things. Now I'm thinking of like a divination wizard. Like being able to have your portents and then have this just to be able to inflict more disadvantages and then be able to change out rolls. Like, man, like that, a bard would be fantastic with this. Let's see, like a rogue. Not necessarily though. You don't want a rogue because
I feel like a rogue would want to team up with one of these guys.
Yeah, because then they would get you in the places.
Yes.
but
The rogue is the one who wants to be not seen.
I really think the bard. Oh, I mean, I think realistically, the bard's probably the best one.
Now, the crazy part about this is there's no limit to how many creatures this works on.
That's what I say. Bard
They're
is
just
perfect.
within range.
So if you needed to, again, you could just have a bard show up in the middle of town, start playing an instrument, get everyone's attention, and you guys could just walk right
if
past.
there's like a battalion of like 20 guards guarding something, and you just start talking, and they only see you.
Yep.
That's
Jailbreaks.
wild.
Jailbreaks. You're sitting there, you know, the jail cell's just downstairs. You walk into the room, you start chatting up with all the guards. Your buddy walks in the room with you, right behind you, walks downstairs, you know, lets the guards out, and you guys just walk out. And then when you're done talking to the guards, you leave. The next time they go in the basement, they'll notice, but as long as they don't go in the basement right after you're done talking to them. And why would they suspect you? You were just chit-chatting with them. It literally doesn't matter because they're just going to be like, excuse me, sir, we have a problem. You need to leave. Oh, excuse me, my bad. You're busy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could be the old, and that's really, we've mentioned this before, how the movie, the D&D move, the newest D&D movie, did bards the best. Like, they really represented one of the best actual representations of a bard, which is the guy that kind of always has a plan and who just kind of keeps everyone together and talks their way out of everything. Like, it's not about music. It's not about, it's like the small spells. It's the small things that get the party through it.
A lot of his dialogue was spell casting, even though it did not get like
inspiration
represented as
every single time he like brought the team back together after someone with like inspiration, right? Like or some the time someone didn't have like confidence in themselves, and he's like, look, you're blah blah blah, you can do it. That's just him giving inspiration.
Even that little moment where it was him and the barbarian girl who were like captured or whatever, and they have their stuff, and she was sitting there talking to him about that axe or whatever. Like, I swear there was something in there where he just starts quipping or whatever, where he gives her advantage on something that she's yeah.
And the thing, like, just like that too, the fact that, you know, he uses the help action a lot because he you know, yeah. I feel like that's where this is coming from. This is one of those opportunities that would really let a bard be a bard. You know, be the chatter, be the one that literally is the center of attention, but not just because you're a musician, not just because you're boring. You know what I mean? This is literally you. This is the kind of character I would expect you to be, that flamboyant one. You're constantly dressed in frills and lace and gold, and you're the kind of guy that, you know, like kicks open a door every time you walk into a room. You're a little bit boisterous, but that's this kind of mentality of when you want people's attention, you get it.
Right.
And it just, not saying that this is like only meant for bards. I could see this used for so many, but I was hoping that this would really drive me to want to select a certain class, and it does, but it doesn't make me feel like I need to. I don't feel like no other class would benefit from this. It's not like bard's the only choice.
Sure.
But wow, what a really well-built bard. Be able to play this
I think
well.
Sorcerers would be able to do a really good job with it too.
And what was the range of
60 feet.
brawl? 60 feet, and it doesn't have to see you.
Oh, what does it
Remember,
say?
it's only to hear you.
Within range, they can hear you, yeah.
And they're only aware of you, but nothing else. Bro, there's like think about like a village or a town or like a couple areas that you have to go like search a couple buildings. You could just sit there and fly as high up as possible, just, you know, 60 feet above the things, and do your little song. And literally people could like break in or just move around. And if you're just circling and they can't really see you, but they're only aware of your voice, there's so many uses to that.
How would you articulate their inability or their lessened ability to perceive anyone other than you? Like, imagine I'm sitting at a table playing cards with someone, right? Theoretically, I would have disadvantage on perception checks to notice the person I'm playing cards with. Does that just mean like I'm not paying attention to them?
I feel
my
like
brain
it's a
is
zone out. I
distracted?
feel like it's just one of those things where whatever you're doing just kind of become, you just like you're not really looking at anything and doing, like, you're still doing it idly,
Sure.
but it's like a daydream. I feel like it's exact. You know, you ever daydream and you're just like, oh shit's done.
I've been driving and been like, what the fuck? How did I get to my location? Like, I don't remember driving here.
Now, would you have imagined if a red car had passed you that moment? No, right? Like, in that time span, what car drove by you? did a helicopter fly over your head?
Sure.
That's what I mean. That's how I imagine it is. If you are enthralled by this, whether or not you know it's there, it is just whether or not you're like, what? Like, you could articulate it as they're just leaning out their window. Or you could articulate it as they're just glossy-eyed, or they're just like, what is that? And so you just walk by them. Like, you can articulate it, but I feel like it is just more of a daydream.
And
it's a zone.
The reason why I asked that is because I'm confident that there are going to be players who are going to try and use this in very specific ways. It's like, hey, I want that person that's in there playing cards to stick their head out the window. I want them to be looking away from a certain thing.
And I feel like that would be player DM at time of creation. You have to discuss, how does this work? What? Because I don't think that can be chosen every single time. That would be too OP. To be like, hey, I want it to work this way, but next time I want it to work where they go find me, right? Like, you don't want.
Sure.
I feel like if you were to have a DM, they would have to say, when you use this is how this is how we interpret enthrall. Because like you said, it's a spell that hardly anyone knows. Like, that is not a spell I'm even familiar with. So I think that might be.
I feel like a lot of the times it is going to be a situational scenario, meaning like there might be a group of people that are likely to be like, oh my gosh, I hear this, I need to go find this sound. And so they get up and they go walk. But there's other people, like if you're a guard standing post, it's not like you're going to leave your post to go listen to the song. You might look around for it, but like, so it's unlikely that you're very similar to like, what's that spell that causes someone, like, you can't cause someone to do something that they wouldn't normally do type deal.
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of have that type of.
So the way I think I'm interpreting this is this is a common problem. I think the reason why you have these questions, like, you know, it would be situational, is I think because for the most part, most DMs wouldn't know about this until you used it. Like, the common way of playing is character brings this to the table, and if you don't know about it already, you'll find out when they do it.
Sure. And
you're gonna be like, what do you mean? And they're gonna be like, look, it's part of my thing. Like, but if you're the kind of DM that we suggest being, which is building the characters with the players, I feel like that would come out in that conversation of, okay, this is how the enthrall works. And I feel like there should be like a proper DM would have a conversation and saying, hey, you know, if you're like having a conversation with someone, this works in the sense that like they are just engrossed in this like when you and I debate. You know, Vixie could walk in when you and I are heated in debate, and it would take her interrupting us for me to be like, oh, you're here. That happens all the time. When you're just in it, someone can walk into the room and you're unaware, right?
Sure.
I would say, like, as a DM, like, hey, when you're talking with someone and using this, that's how it works. But if they can't see you, they're just going to kind of zone out, right? Like, I would, as a DM, would think that you would make that establishment. Or, hey, they may, you know, when you use it and they can't see you, they'll make a minimal effort to find out where the noise is coming from.
Sure.
But otherwise, they'll just listen and zone out. Like, that might be a conversation I would have just so we're consistently, hey, when I want to use this. But like you said, I think you're right in the way that most DMs would approach this, as in they'll figure it out when the player uses it. I think then it would just be well, in this case, this is how they're going to react.
Right.
And I wouldn't mind it. I definitely wouldn't mind different NPCs reacting differently to this because of just how it works in their head. But that's more of a high point thing. And I think 5th edition, I think DMs would do it that way. But I just feel like a quick conversation in the beginning of both of you, like, hey, how does the throw work in your mind? And I think the two conversations to have there are when they can see you and when they can't. Like, are you intentionally trying to get their attention by being in their face and saying, I'm the one talking, look at me? Or are you just using the voice in the general vicinity to get their attention, right? I feel like that's the conversation, is just how does the DM and the player both see those working, and then they just come to an agreement.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's going to happen. And like you said, it'll happen when it works or when they use it. And I'm pretty sure most DMs would just call it on the spot.
I can totally see like a shopkeep like pouring coffee all over their hand because they got distracted, listening to this song or whatever the case may be, and just not recognizing like what they're doing actively. But
I like how Fox are still making fun of you for your.
That's because it's ridiculous. It's crazy. 50 feet, bro.
Do you see what Foxer said though in chat?
He's like, the hell? Yes, the hell.
I can fly 100 feet with my dash.
You can do what now?
And then then just become an Aarakocra monk.
Fuck you, bro.
And break the sound barrier. Literally become a Mach 5 Falcon.
Let me look at what monk actually says, because does monk increase all of your speeds or just your walking speed?
Actually, I don't know.
I feel like
I don't know if it just says base movement speed or not.
I feel like as a DM, I would probably, like in this scenario, I might include it because it says equal to your walking speed. But in that scenario where it's not equal, I don't know.
Yeah, but it is kind of funny to think about that.
That's fucking wild.
All right.
That's
So
fucking wild.
I really like this. I think this is cool. There is a few things that I would probably need to minutely change just for high point purposes. Just because, again, this is great for 5th edition. I think this is rock solid for 5th edition. But yeah, I think I would change up the talents to give a little bit more of options. I would change the flight speed a little bit. I would change the ability to glide, at least in medium armor, but I do like the removal of flight with heavy and medium armor. And I'm pretty sure I would probably change how Lovely Lure works, just because I would make it more custom and less, again, 5th edition likes to copy paste. So basically you get the spell. I'd probably make it a little bit more of a natural ability, like take what the Harpy creature can do and then just modify it to what a more intelligent version would use that same ability for. So probably similar to this, but I would just modify it. But otherwise, I think it's great. I think this is definitely going to get the inspiration points simply for bringing us something that, again, normally you wouldn't even expect to try and play.
And I will say, based upon what we talked about at the beginning with the flight speed and the potential song, I think the implementations that are put here are an excellent way to present these.
Yes.
Specifically for the song, because it's limited use, but depending on what you go, you can use it a lot more.
Yeah.
Right? And so you can like tap into that like ability.
And I like that it starts with, from the get-go, you choose intelligence, wisdom, charisma, so you get to have that ability locked into your power build.
Sure.
You know, whichever way your build's going to go, you really get to lock that ability into it with the way that your character's going to go. Because, I mean, intelligence, wisdom, or charisma, that's your bard, that's your wizard, that's your sorcerer. Like, it's kind of your spread based on who you want to be.
Those are all the casting classes. And so like
I think it's great. No,
I
I'm super happy with it.
like we were talking about earlier with the flight and strength versus dex. Like, I think it would have been really cool just synergistically, like at the top when it comes to what you can add. I'd say you could choose from either strength or dex.
Yep.
And you can choose from either intelligence, wisdom, or charisma. And whichever one of those you choose is your casting class, and whichever one of the other ones you choose is your flight or is your talon damage.
Yeah. And again, just really helps the build, because if you're going to be a monk, if you're going to be a wizard, if you're going to be a bard, those would all really help and drive home that synergy from the rest of the build. So no, I'm 100% in agreement with you.
Yeah. And I think, not that I don't love giving players an opportunity to choose whatever, but in a scenario like this where it makes sense to have something specific for them to choose, I feel like give them something specific to choose. Like, yeah, give them options. Yeah, you can choose between strength or dex. Yeah, you could choose between wisdom, intelligence, or charisma, but you have to choose one on the physical side, one on the mental side, right?
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that we talked about in the past a lot of the times when you just give this universal option, is like, make them choose something physical and make them choose something mental, not like all mental or all physical. Like, there might be some where it's totally valid to choose all mental things. There might be some where it's totally valid to choose all physical things, but having that, like, you're gonna have physical abilities based upon your race, and you're gonna have mental abilities based upon, I totally think that's something that more people could look into. So
also,
it does say Super Fox or speed, just speed in general, but I still would say that's your base speed, not all speed, but that's just me.
So not for this, we'll get to the rating in a second, but not specifically for this particular build. But another thing that it inspires me to think of for future builds and choices is, I wouldn't mind, especially with something like a race, a specialty ability, and maybe something that affects either your speed or just in general, like an ability that you can come up with. So I was thinking, like, for this one, an example would be, at the time of getting this, or at the time of creation, here's all the things you can do. But in addition to the Lovely Lure, and this is only an example for like a flying creature like this, but what if you get to choose between one of two abilities? You can either carry twice your weight with your feet. And that would come with like you, and that means you can also scoop. So in mid-flight, you can grab and carry up to twice your weight.
Pick somebody up.
Essentially. Or you can choose the ability that while in flight, you can dive up to 1.5 times the distance, or like, you can dive equal distance that you are high into water.
Interesting.
So like you would like, and the idea being like, what kind did you grow up to be? What was your specialty? Were you a land-based hunter? So you were regularly growing up to like, grab deer off the ground and then go take it and eat it? Or were you a fisherman? And so when you choose this, being able to say, I have the ability to, if I'm 100 feet up, that means I can go 50 feet down into the water. Like I can do it. So you would just do a calculation of when you do a dive, however high you are is a calculation of how deep you can go. So maybe you can go as half as deep as you are high.
Sure.
Right. So for every 10 feet up, you go 5 feet down. That could be interesting. Or you give them the opportunity of you can grab mid-flight, you can grab and carry creatures up to twice your weight or twice your size. Like that way it would just give you the uniqueness of what your specialty is, plus one more kind of fun little thing that would make sense. And again, maybe not for this build, but just this idea that when you create a race, why wouldn't you, some of them have these like unique, like similar to how you would expect a subspecies, but instead of making 2 whole builds, you just have an ability based on how you decided to hunt.
To be honest, I even think that could be tied to it. Like, obviously the strength one is going to be able to pick people up, and the dexterity one would allow you to dive. So I'm not super mad at that either. What's going on, Hoylepa?
I don't know. I feel like a lot of those like things that can stack movement, like, the tabaxi monks that can basically break the sound barrier. It's not just a funny trope. I really do feel like, again, it's that raw versus rye, like the idea of how speed and movement work. I feel like it's the reason why shit like that can happen, why you can have a certain build that breaks the sound barrier and just has this ridiculous speed, is I think it's because D&D has a really hard time truly defining like speed and movement, because it's like the idea that they're so interchangeable, because it's like the speed is the potential, but then the movement is like I don't know. It's the way that it stacks. It's like, that's not real. Like there's no real way that you can run 1.5 miles in 6 seconds and cover that distance. You know what I mean? Like there's just so much that happens in that idea of like, I would say, here's my problem with it. It's the fact of one of 2 things needs to be happening. Either you are going faster or you are traveling more distance. And I do think those are 2 different things, because being able to go from here to here in a blink of an eye is different than being able to go from here to here in the same distance someone would run half of that, right? Like being able to run twice the distance someone can in the same time frame versus running the same distance in half the time frame, I think is the problem, right? And that's where like the stacking gets weird, because when you start to stack the numbers, it's hard to know which one are we talking about. Are we talking about how long it takes you to get from point A to point B, or how much further away point B now is?
I feel like it's the latter, very specifically, because in order for you to do a lot of the things that you're doing, in order to do this, you have to say, I'm going further.
Yes.
You have to say, I now have the ability, like when I'm dashing, I am going my speed plus another extended amount of speed, right?
Right.
It's still the same 6 seconds if I decide to stop short.
So it's, again, you're adding distance, not time, which I mean, I get that is valid, but again, when you get to that point of like, so justifiably, like he's just gonna push off from the ground and be 1 mile away.
Now, I will say there is elements of talking about what is unrealistic, in the sense that, hey, I'm using magic. I'm able to do things that are unrealistic. Like you're in a game where I can potentially cleave a rock in half with a sword. You know what I mean? Like there are things that I will say that, yes, it's humanly and normally unrealistic, but I feel like we are here to create characters and stories that are beyond the realistic, that are meant to be heroic-esque characters, that are meant to do
heroism and superheroism is my problem. It's like again, yes, there's gods. There are beings that can float through matter. I'm not saying that, oh, it breaks, it breaks. Like that. We have to get this thing, but hot take. I really hate that is the standard argument that people make of, well, you allow magic so someone can create fireball, but you can't do this. And it's like, that argument's so cringe because it's like, there is a suspense of disbelief, but there's also reasoning behind that. And just the idea that you're saying that, well, my monk has all of these things that stack. It's like, but when something says it doubles your speed, I personally don't think that any multiple things that double your speed double the double. Like, personally, I think that's where one of the misinterpretations is wrong, is when someone says it doubles your speed,
yes,
and then a different ability says it doubles your speed, that's not now times 4 your speed or times 8. But that's what people think.
I think that,
and I think that's how this kind of stuff gets abused.
I think people take that out of context, because your speed is the same, period. Like, full stop, period. Your speed is the same. Your speed is 30 feet.
Yeah.
When something doubles your speed, you're doubling that 30 feet. I don't care
if you
doubled it already.
Double, you're not doubling the 60.
You're still doubling 30 feet. You're just adding another 30 feet onto what you ever.
But that's the other thing is, like, I don't necessarily believe it's adding either. And that's where I think that's where a lot of this gets a little bit too convoluted. And this is just my personal opinion. I just don't like how speed has gotten to that point, because to me, if one thing doubles your speed, there are no other future doubles. There's no other future additives. Now, if something says it adds 10 feet, that's different. But one ability doubling your speed is a one-time double. If something else doubles your speed, I don't believe that it doubles anything. I don't believe it even adds 30 feet.
I would say, unless it's magic, I agree.
Yes, yeah. Like if
you have a haste spell on you,
different.
By all means.
And again, I am okay suspending disbelief when there's a meaningful understanding. But like, if I have a racial ability and a class ability that both let me double my speed, only one's active at a time. Like, you can activate both, but you're still only getting 60. That's my. I mean, I'm not the majority. I'm definitely a minority in this. I just don't like how 5th edition has gotten to the point to where speed's abused that way.
Rogues have the ability to double dash. I can use my action to dash and my bonus action to dash. Is that doubling your speed twice?
No, that is using a specific ability, which is adding 30 more feet. It's not doubling your speed. A dash is basically moving your distance again.
But
because you can dash.
Everybody can dash. Everybody can double their speed one time.
And again, that is a written mechanic that it can do that.
So for rogues specifically, if they can go 30 feet as their normal speed, then they can go 90 feet in a turn.
Technically, yeah, because the 2 dashes only add. I agree with you in that particular case. A dash is only an additional 30 feet.
With that same mentality, would you say that same thing would work for somebody who is using the what's the cat race?
Tabaxis.
The Tabaxi speed and the regular dash.
Right.
Would they be able to go 90 feet?
See, and this is where it gets weird, and this is where it's going to be hard to be in this minority, because again, raw versus rye. I don't think so. I think that's where the abuse begins. I think that it's not, they were never designed to stack. It was designed that you didn't have to be a rogue if you were Tabaxi. To me, that was the intent.
What do you mean you didn't have to be a rogue?
Because Tabaxis can do that. And a rogue can, again, the Tabaxis get the speed boost, right? They can, you were just saying that Tabaxi can also be able to dash. Mm-hmm. But if they use a rogue ability, then do they also, oh, right, no, Joe, sorry.
So can the Tabaxi go 90 feet in a turn without being a rogue?
Because why? So wait, why would they?
Because of their racial ability.
So what does the racial ability do?
It allows them to double their speed as long as they haven't moved, as long as afterwards they don't move. Let me read it for you.
Yeah, because I'm not familiar with specifically what it does. But to be frank, like if a Tabaxi is a rogue, I don't think it was ever intended that both of these work at the same time. Like, I just don't expect that you would be able to use the Tabaxi version to dash or double your speed and then dash again. Like, I think that's where it starts to break the system. And again, that's where Raw does say it's possible, but that's where I think Rye is meant to come in.
So the way feline agility is articulated, your reflexes and agility allow you to move with a burst of speed. When you move on your turn in combat, you can double your speed until the end of the turn. Once you use this trait, you can't use it again until you move 0 feet on one of your turns. So the way that me as a DM would look at this is I would say you get a Again,
because well, just
yeah.
while you're talking.
Basically, I would kind of look at this as a free dash. So if I'm not a rogue, I'm a regular fighter, I can use my action to dash, and I can use this to add an additional 30 feet so that I can go the same 90 feet that a rogue would be able to go. That's how.
So this is different. So see, again, this is how I interpret this. Like, so a rogue gets a dash. A dash is adding 30 feet, like doubles your speed, but it's not cumulative, right? So 2 dashes just is 30 feet, but then you get to double again. So
another 30
we know that dash is 30 feet. In this particular case, because the way this is how I look at things, you're about feline agility. It is a physical ability.
Mm-hmm.
It is I am able to pump my legs a little bit of
muscles,
with a little bit of adrenaline and get a burst out. So I'm truly doubling my base speed. This is a case where every character can dash, right? Everyone gets a dash.
With your action, yes.
And this is when you use your move action, right? So dash is a different action. This is a move action. But because this is kind of a free action, right? It's when you use your move, one time you can just activate this for free. You just do this. This is a time where I feel like the stacking was intended. So when a tabaxi uses feline agility freely, then uses the action to dash, I can see an argument where as a combined, you can actually double the 60. Because feline agility is giving you a physical boost to your base speed, then dashing would double that. That's the only time I could see a DM justifying that. Now, I don't think that was the exact intent, but I can see that being more of an intent than double over here, double over there. I think like in this case, it sounds like more like this could be doubled. You can activate this ability, which increases my base speed, but then I'm going to dash, which lets me do my base speed twice. So essentially, I could see a justification for this is the only way you could abuse it with dash, right? Like it's the only time you could use this, but dash and still get the benefit twice. But I also see that the dash should still only be 30.
If a regular fighter chose this ability and decided to dash with their action, they would move 120 feet instead of 90 feet with a single dash.
I could see a justification. Do I think that's how it should work? No. Because again, I do not like the abuse of movement. But this is like, again, I'm just trying to be like, the most amenable I can be is that's a time where you can stack. I could see the argument.
You can see the argument, for sure.
I could be fine with it. I still don't think that's the intent. I think the intent is that this is supposed to basically be the alternative to the rogue's double dash.
Sure.
This is just a different way to articulate, because all it's saying is that when you use it, you get a burst of speed. It's just a dash. Sure. And then you can move twice your speed in this one movement. But once you did it, and let's say you dashed immediately afterwards, you'd be back to your base speed of 30, which is only going to get doubled.
That is honestly, I could see an argument for reading that rules as written, the way you just articulated it. As soon as you finish your movement
exactly.
speed,
that's what I'm saying.
Your increased speed is done. And
that's how I read it. Like, so in the end, I would just call it that, no, these things do not stack. But so, this is the one time I just wanted to give the option that I could hear an argument and in a certain setting justify that happening. But I think intention is, no, these are all meant to be individualized units of 30 feet.
The way I'm looking at it overall,
what's going on, Des?
Is very similar to what you're talking about. Is like, yes, I can move 60 feet with my regular movement, but then if I want to dash, I get another 30. And theoretically, if I'm a rogue, I get another 30, and that's it. So that if I am a Tabaxi rogue, I can go 120 feet, but that's it.
Yeah,
like that is the limit you can do in that one turn.
And that would be like you expending every pot. But again, I don't think it's like this accumulative 3,000 fucking. Yes. No, I'm sorry. It just, to me, that's not just game breaking. That's just like, to me, that's the min max to absurdity. Like to me, it's like, why are we even bothering with these rules? Why don't you just be Superman? Like, I don't know. To me, the concept of I'm trying to break the game by using the rules against it, it's like you're no longer playing the story. You don't like, these are the things that to me take everything out of the well-crafted narrative, and you're just trying to say, well, the rules say I can, so therefore I'm and it's just like, why? What's the like? You're playing against the mechanics, not me. You're not playing against the story. You're not playing against the BBEG. You're just trying to bend the will of the universe to whatever meme you want to like. So that's okay. I'm in minority here, but
No, I
These are-
get what you're saying, and you know me, I'm the type of person, I love to accept everything in my game because
You just
I
want to
can-
know why someone thinks the way they do.
I can find a way to balance whatever absurdity you want to bring to my table.
Oh, yeah.
Be like trust me, like there's something that I can do on that front. But at the same time, I love to find a way, because if you want to do something absurd, that's fine, but I'm gonna find a way to make it make sense. I'm gonna find a way that it's not absurd for absurdity's sake. It's absurd because you decided to go into this absurd world, right? Maybe some witch cursed your legs, and so yeah, you can move at the freaking speed of sound. But yeah, you can dash 1,000 feet in an instant, but maybe there's some consequences. Maybe there's some other elements that are going on along with that. So like, if that's what you want to be able to do, if that's really what you're trying to build with this, then that's what you're gonna end up with. Like, you can still do the thing, but it's gonna have an actual effect in the world that you're living in.
I do like Foxer's take on this, is that if you're trying to break the rules, there's things that will break you harder. And I'm like, that's exactly how High Point is. High Point is the place where you can try anything. Just understand that you probably aren't the first, and there are people waiting for someone to try again. And that's not to say don't try. It's just to say that just because you had an idea, I'm not going to sit here and let you live out your Superman dreams at no cost to myself or the world or the narrative, right? Like, I've had so many players in my past have brilliant ideas, but the reason why I'm so staunch on the fact that players have entitlement is I've had so many players have brilliant, amazing ideas that they immediately abandon the moment it's not just given to them. They have a great sword in mind that can do all this cool stuff, and the moment I say that they can't just find it, no, I don't care anymore. Like, that's a brilliant idea. That's actually would fit your character. I want that. No, I just kind of wanted it. And it's like, that's where I got to the point where I'm just like, I'm kind of tired of this mindset of like, well, it's in the book. It's like, I don't care if it's in the book. Do the work to earn it. Like,
there's lots of things that are in the book. There's there's the wish spell in the book. There's the helm of intelligence. There's all this kind of stuff in the book. You don't just get to snap your fingers and it's in your pocket. Like, everything takes something to get there, right?
Oh, Des, you have to go soon. All right. Well, we just finished, actually. We're on side tangents that you have spawned in due to your Harpy nonsense. But I guess that you can hear because we haven't given you the score yet. So yeah, a couple things that I would have changed in terms of like the flight, the speed, a little bit on the talons, and maybe a slight change to lovely lore. But otherwise, most of it was really, really good.
It was so cool.
Really inspirational. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. We love that.
Yeah,
we absolutely love that.
Fantastic build. Really cool idea. Really like that you used a creature that most people would never have considered trying to play, and bringing it to life. So thank you so much. That was a really cool one. And we're still talking about it. We're still
truly,
transiting.
Like I was just telling Vortex, like, this is definitely the way that I would love to see this put out. Like, concerned about flying, concerned about lure, concerned about being overpowered. Nah. This is exactly what I would want to give to one of my players.
This feels like what you would expect it to come to life if it were playable. So fantastic. Good job. Thank you.
Much appreciated.
Yeah, and again, Super Boxer has a good point too. Like, if you're going to move at the speed of light, how's your body going to handle that? You know what I mean? Like, and then everyone always thinks like, well, what about like what about all your stuff? You just, the fact that you think that you're just blinking, and again, it's like, I get that that's what happens in anime, but
I'm telling you,
TTRPGs aren't for that.
When I run into all these videos about super speed, you don't just have super speed. You have to have a plethora of powers in order to functionally use super speed.
Yes.
Like, genuinely. Same thing with flight. You have to have a plethora of powers in order to be able to do certain things with this. So if you just can go fast, sure, I'll let you go fast. You're gonna experience all the consequences of going fast. You might lose your clothes. You might rip off your skin. You might literally have a hole through you because you ran into a fly and it shot through you like a freaking bullet.
Or you pass out because you can't breathe.
All of the things, so you can certainly be stupid, but at the same time recognize that's when play stupid games.
The Speed Force. Yeah, that's how they did the Speed Force, which I think is kind of dumb, but yeah, the Speed Force for the Flash.
They just, hey, Speed Force, you don't have to worry about any of that other stuff. All right, cool. Cool.
But yeah, no, it's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. But that's where, again, I like to imply physics, and while I want everyone to feel like they're a superpower, I mean, I don't mind adding anime elements, but don't just do it just because, right? Like, make it make sense. Like I said, I wouldn't mind. I would much prefer a character that can move that 30 feet in a turn, but I'd much rather articulate that you work up to doing that in a blink of an eye than being able to blink a mile away, right? Like, we have teleportation spells for that. Why are you trying to get your character to take one step and you're, across the continent? Just teleport, right? We don't need to reinvent the wheel. Teleportation exists, but the concept of like super speed, being able to cross the room and like when someone blinks and you're suddenly in front of their face.
Sure.
To me, that's more impactful in a D&D setting when you could like, we need to speak and blink and they're just at your face. Like, we need to speak now. That's more impactful to me in almost any D&D session than, oh yeah, I think I see that little guy. He looks like an ant. Hey, I have a message for you. We're 5 miles that way. We'll see you in a minute. All right, I told him we're over here. Like, I don't want to be the Flash. The Flash is boring in a TTRPG setting because of that thing right there. Well, guess what? I had a message spell. I could have done the same thing. I had a teleportation spell. I could have done the same thing. There's so many ways I could have accomplished that really wasn't. That was just another way to just do something that's not really.
I'll say I get it to a certain extent because they're like me with earthbending. Though, especially the way that you have done earthbending, I can find so many creative ways to use earthbending. Just like in the comic books, Flash finds so many creative ways to use his speed other than just going long distances. You know what I mean? So you can do a lot of things with this stuff, but the point is, I feel like a lot of the times it comes down to player intent. And is the player just trying to be a magic wizard that can do whatever they want when they wave a wand? Or are they trying to be a player that is using what they have been given, using what they are trying to build in a creative and narrative way, right? And I feel like you can do that with super speed, or you can just be the person who wants to be able to, I can do whatever I want. Like, it's what's that trope where you're the kid and like, I have a magic shield that blocks your stuff. I'm invisible now. You can't see
the game's
me.
called I Win.
The game's called I Win. Yeah, exactly. Like, no, fuck that.
All right, so can we get Desmar their average, and what is next week's item?
Next week's item, I just put it in there. It is another playable race.
Ooh.
And this is another, weirdly enough, winged creature. It is the Wyvernia. I don't know how to pronounce that properly, but Wyvern basically race. So it is I'm excited to see what that looks like. This one's a little bit more in depth, and it may or may not have sub races. I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to check real quick, but the new average for Desmar is, I believe, if I am correct, a 7.
Nice. Good jump. All right. And then how many things are still on the schedule? Like how far ahead is that schedule? Foxer's interested.
Let's take a gander. I will say on my list right now, I have.
Well, because there's the list I can see, but then there's the list that you're working on.
So the list that you can see has 20 more on it that have not been reviewed yet. And there's a couple that are still in the Discord that I haven't brought onto this list yet.
Over 20. I don't think we've ever dropped below 20 in the last
it's been a while. It's been a while.
I mean, really, ever since Pokeniner,
I'm gonna say we're still not done with Pokeniner's list.
There was a couple people that gave us like compendiums, so that just really set us up for days.
We only have one more subclass from Pokeniner.
Oh no.
No, 2. No, 3. I can't see.
Super Foxer, we'll see something from you way before the new year. I mean, you got to think, we have 20 submissions, but there's only like 4 of you that submit.
Super Foxer, you are theoretically, as of right now, after next week's.
So yeah, you're not next Monday, but you're the Monday after. See?
Yes.
Like that's the thing is there's only like there's 20 submissions, but there's only like 4 submitters.
One,
So we're just
two,
cycling through each of you like every 3
5.
weeks.
There are 5 different people that have things still on the books right now.
So yeah, basically it's once a month. You're almost guaranteed to see an item once a month,
Roughly.
or once every 6 weeks. So don't worry, we got you. We got you. You'll see something in 2 weeks, and then maybe you'll have to wait a year until next year.
I don't even think so. Like you're gonna see something in September from you.
No, the 25th. Not the 18th, but the 25th. So the last week of August is your next item.
That's correct.
What's next week's? Hecate missed it.
Next week's is I was just looking at it. Is the Wyverna. Wyverna.
Waverna?
Yes. I posted it in the Discord. So if you guys want to go check the schedule,
okay,
and figure out your own way to pronounce it. I'm gonna have to ask who is this? Hecate. Hecate. Give me the phonetic spelling of how we're gonna actually articulate this thing.
Waverian.
Okay.
Waverian is how I see that.
Hold on. That's not what I have. Hold on. Because let me open this. Yeah, it's spelled the way he spelled it just now is slightly different than the way I have it spelled. The way he has it spelled on his
Wavernian. Okay.
Yeah, like that is what it looks like.
Wyvernia. Oh, okay. So we were missing the N. So it's Wyvernian. Okay.
Because there's no
final N.
So there's no N at the end, but they have the N sound at the end.
So it's like Wyveria, but it's a Wyverian. Interesting. Unless there was just a mistype, and maybe it's supposed to have an N. Who knows?
Fair enough.
We'll fix that. But yeah. By the way, so the new logo is official. I'm waiting for the full deck. Like, I don't have all of the versions yet because we talked about those last week.
Yes.
And we sent it back for some corrections, and all the corrections have been made. So this is it. This is it with all of the corrections, but this is now official. We are getting all of the other colors and versions still being sent. I should have those by tomorrow.
Delicious,
but
man.
This is the newest version of the logo with all of our changes. This is it. This is the official. This is it. Like after 2.5 years, we finally have an official logo. It's crazy. Again, I was thinking about that. I was talking to Vixie about it the other day. I'm just like, it took 7 years. It's been 2.5 years to like get to this stage to actually have like a nice logo. But 7.5 years ago, I wood burned this logo for the first time.
Yup.
And it took this long to see it through. Love the new logo. Yeah, I'm super happy with this logo. I like the colors. It represents both of the sides of us, and I think it truly represents everything that we are. And it's I still can't get over the Studios D.
Dude.
Like oh my god, I'm so happy it fucking worked because it just I knew it, like it wasn't absolutely necessary, but I knew that in order to fully represent us, we needed all three. We needed tabletop, console, and PC represented in the logo. So I'm so happy we got to keep the mouse in the D in Studios, just because it was just like I especially because that's gonna be the primary.
F, but the D is such a great way to do that. Like that to me was a stroke of artistic genius to slide it in there, you know.
That was, oh my god, it was so I never would have come up with that on my own. I never in a million years would have thought to do that. And now that I see it, I'm just like, it's fucking perfect. It's so
clutch,
fucking obvious. And but yeah, I'm very happy with how this looks. We will be getting the full deck soon, so I'm hoping that if I get the full deck, either I don't know where they live, so either late tonight or early tomorrow. The goal is that I will have all of our socials, every account, everything updated with this tomorrow.
Sweet.
As soon as I get the kit.
And
so,
depending on how much well I can fuck with it, I can get a lot of our Discord stuff updated.
I'll send it over to you.
With this new one.
Yep.
And like all of the webhooks that we have, we'll be able to put the new logo in it.
Like I'm not even that worried about it because I don't mind the small logo that I created for the dice profiler. But if we ever want to upgrade it, I'm definitely going to this person again.
Oh heck yeah!
Like I'm definitely going to go to them and be let's work on it number 2. But I don't think the dice profiler is that big of a deal because again, the dice profiler is just a TikTok account.
Sure.
You know, I struggled long and hard about whether or not we were gonna turn that into a whole different brand or a whole like extension to the company. But at the end of the day, it just turns out that it will be nicer and cleaner to keep it as a TikTok account by us that leads to our website, leads to our shop. So there's not really going to be any separation. It's just more of it is a side project. It's not what we do on our main channel. So I think that it'll be enough to just call it the Dice Profile. Because again, it's also more in line with, we don't have to worry about trademarking, but that's exactly what it is, right? The TikTok account is the profiler. It's the one that does the profiling.
Sure.
But we're just selling the dice with the profiles, right? So I don't know. It makes sense in my head that I don't feel like we need to make this its own derivative of the company right now.
Yeah, I would agree. I think a lot of the times you'll end up spreading yourself too thin trying to do all these extra pieces. So keeping things as streamlined and simplistic as possible, I think, is valuable.
It's a marketing campaign. You know what I mean? This reminds me of just the awful names in DBZ sometimes. Just Frieza, King Cold.
I mean, wild.
His cousin Icebox.
Absolutely wild.
All right, everybody. Well, I think we're going to cut it there. It's been a fantastic 2.5 hours. I hope you enjoyed the review. I know that we did. I hope you enjoy the review coming up next week. I know Hecate is going to be looking forward to it, but fret not, because we have plenty of things happening. So I hope you all are looking forward to this Friday, because as far as I can tell, this Friday, it should be me just solo, but we will be doing the first alpha test of One Shot Rivals. So we will actually be trying to play a game live and run some tests.
Sure.
So we'll actually get to see what that looks like. And I'm hoping that also come Friday, I will have tons and tons and tons of updates about all of our side projects and more than just a logo to show everybody. So more to come on Friday.
Sick.
I'm hoping that the rest of the week is going to be very, very productive and busy for me. But for you, I hope you all had a great, fantastic weekend. And I hope you have a great weekend, a great week ahead of you. We'll see you on Friday if we don't pop in for coding on Tuesday or for any games. But yes, Friday, many, many updates. Be there or don't. Whatever. Do it, lady. Anyway, y'all have been fantastic. Thank you so much for showing up. We'll see you guys on Friday. Cheers.
Deuces.